There's something weird about the human brain. It thinks. And while we all think every day, most of us never give thinking itself that much thought. Unless, of course, you're a pro. For ages, scholars have wondered, do we only think in words? Is language essential to thought?
This question has been debated by philosophers for centuries, and philosophers are basically your all-day cognitive scientists who just haven't had the tools to kind of address these questions.
Now, Fedorenko and others are tackling this question using the tools of modern neuroscience. They've shown our brains can in fact think without words. When we listen to music, for example, or solve math problems. But what about stories? What happens inside our brains when we tell or hear the stories we use to organize our world into neat little narratives? It turns out we experience those stories in lots of different ways, as in this oddball movie. There's a lot going on. Visuals, sounds, and characters combine to create a storyline that unfolds over time. Sometimes the story advances through words, and other times it moves forward through music, sound effects, the actions of the characters. So how do our brains process narratives that don't rely on words? Do our brains need language to interpret stories? These days, the tool of choice for studying the brain in action is fMRI, which is basically a fancy brain scan.
So we'll put people in big magnets and see how their blood flow changes when we have them do different kinds of language tasks.
fMRI brain images show which parts of the brain are reacting to the researcher's prompts. Past studies use carefully designed tasks to locate the specific language regions of the brain. Now, Fedorenko and colleagues at MIT are challenging their subjects with more real-world storytelling experiences.
We like to say that we are interested in how language is done in the wild and not how language is done in the lab.
So what lights up the language regions?
We're wondering whether language regions, again, care just about language or any sort of narrative, any sort of meaning that unfolds over time. Hey, Caitlin, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, just fine.
Okay, good. Awesome. So we're going to start the first dialogue that you're going to hear. So this is going to be an audio, so there's nothing on the screen. And it's the dialogue between two girls.
I remember the first time I saw you, we were in the house, and you were talking to one of the seniors, and I don't remember who it was.
So a story told only through words causes the language regions of the brain to light up. But what about a narrative without words, where you have to make up the story in your mind?
And this is going to be a story, but it's going to be told only through sound effects, without anyone speaking, okay?
A tale told in sound effects doesn't activate our language regions. But what if a story involves an explicit plot?
This movie is going to be of shapes hanging out together doing things, okay?
Okay.
Cool. And it seems that people pick up on these social interactions between the shapes very, very, very easily. People can tell very quickly that these shapes are not moving according to physics laws. It's not balls on a pool table, but rather they seem to be shapes that have inner lives and inner thoughts, or at least desires and goals, and they act according to these goals.
Again, the language regions don't respond, even as we cheer for shapes trying to free their friend. But what if the story involves recognizable characters?
So now we're going to do an animated movie.
Okay.
It's going to be a Pixar movie. It's really nice. It's about 5 minutes long, okay?
Okay.
Cool.
Once again, the language regions don't light up. We are a species immersed in stories. We are a uniquely language-rich species. Now, the work of the Fedorenko lab suggests that those two essential aspects of human experience, while they may be connected, engage different systems within our brains. This matters for some practical reasons, as neuroscientists try to figure out what to do when something goes wrong.
I certainly hope that somewhere down the line, understanding how, say, a language system functions will have implications for fixing that system when it's broken, right? Because you can't fix a telephone if you don't know what the component pieces are and how they go together.
More fundamentally, though, this research is an inquiry into what's involved in being human. What it takes to become the expressive, verbal, social animals we are today.
Evolution has given us this set of regions that can learn language and seem to only be doing that and nothing else. There are a lot of resources that our brain allocates only to process language. And that for me is sort of a testament to how complex language is. You know, we don't think about it every day because it seems very simple to speak and understand.
As we turn our attention inward from the world around us, understanding our own minds may just be the key to understanding who we are.
What you see is real. What's done is done, and what I've done is right. It's the work of science.